Welcome back to SLP-Tea. Enjoy part 2 of this episode. What are some of the pros and cons of owning your own private practice for you specifically?
Okay. Let's start with the cons. And this kind of ties into what we were just talking about in my approach with business and why other people go with the other approach. They try to keep clients for as long as possible. Because as a business owner, it is your responsibility to bring in the clients. When you're working for somebody else, you don't have this worry. You have a steady paycheck week to week. And as beautiful as that is, you don't have the ability to have the flexibility in your schedule or to be as creative as you want. So it's a give and take. So I would say the biggest con is it's my responsibility to make sure that I keep finding clients and I keep finding ways to make income. But with that comes I'm being pushed to be creative. How can I provide services outside of just doing one-to-one clients? Yes, I have to market myself, so sometimes you have to pay for advertising. Definitely take advantage of social media. There are a few clients that I've had who found me from social media and in different parts of the world, which is just such a beautiful thing.
Wow.
But I'm pushed again to think of other ways. So now I'm starting to do workshops. So if I can get large groups of people and do a hands-on workshop, okay, that's another source of income that I can make. And if I make a goal to do, 1 or 2 workshops once a month, then okay, I can get a large chunk of money in that sense. And then my goal is eventually to start doing trainings online where I can have an even larger audience. So now tying into the pros about owning your own business is that you can do it in whichever way that you want. You do not have to have an office. You don't have to have a physical location where you have a bunch of this overhead and bills that you have to keep up with, which is why certain businesses try to keep clients for as long as possible because they have these bills that they have to pay. They have to make sure that their clients are always coming in the door. But I have the ability to be creative and think of different ways that I can make income while also serving families and the clientele that I am passionate about. Whereas if I'm working for somebody else, I might get clients that I really, for speech and language, like I said, it's not my biggest passion. But if I work for somebody else, I'm going to have a lot of clients in speech and language. And before I even thought about having my private practice, I tried to find clinics that were feeding based and they were all in hospitals or they were all in clinics and they weren't looking for anybody. So I had to create that opportunity for myself. So the other pro about having your own private practice is that you can target a specific population that you want to work with, whether it's children with autism, whether it's children, an AAC, whether it's, you can really go and niche down into anything. There is a niche for everything within the SLP world. So if there's something that you really gravitate to, reflect on that. Do your research, see if anybody else is doing it. And if they are, that's a great thing. I remember in the beginning, I would feel intimidated by other SLPs in the feeding world who were doing really good. And I was like, oh man, am I going to be able to do that? But it's a sign that if they can do it, I can do it too. There's a niche out there for it. There's a need for it. So definitely use that to your advantage as a possibility that, you can also do it. So cons, it's you have to make sure you keep finding clients and you're finding creative ways to make income. And then pros, it's you can be as creative as you want and you can do whatever you want within your business to make it successful. I hope that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a freeing thing when you're able to pick your own caseload and kind of choose what you really are passionate about. Let's get into a little bit about Thrive Baby. What is Thrive Baby and how did it come about?
Oh, Thrive Baby is a little baby that me and this beautiful, talented woman named Irene Magriplis, it's our little baby that we are growing. So to give you more background information, Thrive Baby is an app that we are currently in the process of developing. It's a parenting app where parents can log and keep track of things like sleeping, their naps, their feeds, their diapers, their transition to solids, and it's going to have an AI system integrated into it. Now, there's a lot of parenting apps that are like this, where you can log things like feeding and solids, but not many have this AI integration feature. So a little bit about Irene and how I met her, because it's so important that I share this story. Irene found me almost 2 years ago, and she was looking for speech therapy for her older son. And the funny thing is, I heard about this woman a few years back because she's a sleep consultant in New York, and she's rated one of the top sleep consultants in New York. And I knew her because my friends knew her. And when I told them that I wanted to start my private practice, they're like, "Oh, do you know about Irene?" And they showed me her website, and I, stalked her on social media, and I was like, wow, this girl is amazing. Like, she built this business from nothing on her own. She is now a mother of two. Her sleep consulting practice is called Lullaby and Me. Not only does she have that, but she also owns a skincare line, an organic skincare line for mothers, and it's called Irene Organics. So I knew this information about her. She reached out to me for speech therapy. Of course, I said yes. And as I was working with her son over the coming months and then a year, and so we started to reach out to each other for support. So I was asking her about sleep, and she was asking me about feeding. And within the first 2 years of life, and even later down the road, sleep and feeding are so closely intertwined. When a child's feeding is off, their sleep is off. If their sleep is off, their feeding is off. And so when she came to me with the idea of creating this app, I didn't even think twice. We literally went to this place. She goes to this place that has a sauna. And we had our little date, and we were in the sauna, and she brought it up to me. And I didn't think twice. I was like, let's do this. Not even knowing what I was getting myself into, but I trust Irene and her brilliant mind so much. And the idea was like, I would have never thought about something like this. So with AI, we are building it so that it has our expertise within it, because AI can build a memory. So this is not a simple, like, help me with my baby sleep, putting it into ChatGPT. We're putting our information, our knowledge, and our expertise in the system. So that way, when parents log their information, we track it for about 3 days. If they add more, that's great. And then parents can use an AI chatbot. So if they have questions, specific questions, they will get support in that way, or they can get a customized sleep or feeding plan, or both. So Irene's goal was essentially to be able to support more parents, because she also does one-to-one, and in that sense it's very limiting. You want to support as many parents as you possibly can. So in this way, we can support more families and give them 24/7 support. So kind of like having their little village, and just always having somebody by your side to help you when you have a feeding or a sleep question, something that our ancestors used to have when they lived in their little village, and they would pass down knowledge. But now so many families feel isolated. They don't feel like they have the support that they need. So our goal is to give parents that village, that support that they need.
I love that. What a beautiful goal. And also, like you said, being able to scale your product, giving that
Mm-hmm.
support 24/7. I think that is one of the biggest pros of using AI, is that you're able to provide them with that expertise when they need it.
Yes.
And specifically with feeding, a question can come up at any meal,
Mm-hmm.
and for sleep, any night. Specifically for
Mm-hmm.
sleep, it's hard to get a hold of someone at bedtime.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's so cool that AI is able to bridge that gap and help those families in that way. I think it's
Yes.
it's a really cool thing, and I'm so happy to hear that you guys are incorporating it in that way.
We're
So I'm really
excited.
looking forward to seeing that app when it comes out.
We're excited. And just like anything, when anyone is starting a business, you don't know where it's going to take you, what's going to happen down the road. And as much as we want to know, like, yes, this is going to be successful, not knowing where it's going to go is what keeps you going.
Yes.
You want it to work. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. I also find it very important to not get so hung up on, like, oh, this has to be successful. Like, you have to take it one day at a time, do the best that you can within that day. There's going to be days that you shouldn't really think about work all the time. Like, just spend time with your family, spend time with your friends, take downtime to kind of reflect on yourself and your values, and take your mind off of work. And then once you take that downtime, you get back into it, and you keep working on that goal and that dream that you have. So just taking it one day at a time. But I trust that with Irene and, you know, combining our minds, it will be something beautiful. And that's what you have to have, is that hope and that belief in your dream.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's more of a marathon than anything, you know?
Yes.
You're putting one foot in front of the other, and you're putting your head down. You're not worrying about the final goal. I think
Mhm.
anything with starting a new project, a new business, um, especially this day and age, there's gonna be
Mhm.
bumps in the road, but it's absolutely a marathon. And if you know what you're doing is positive and productive for your clients, it gives you that ability to keep pushing through it.
How do you do this in your day to day? I mean, you and Mackenzie right now are starting this podcast. And from when we previously talked, you talked about some other goals that you have. Like, how do you go from your day to day and make sure that what you do is aligned with your values, your goals, your mission?
Yeah, I mean, so many things to unpack there for me. My goals and my mission, I think my why behind all of my work and like my why behind being a speech therapist, goes back to when I was in elementary school. And I had a speech therapist.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and my why originates mostly because I have dyslexia, and knowing about that, being very self-aware of that
Mm-hmm.
when I was young, and really not knowing how to handle it when I was young. A lot of frustration when I was young. A lot of I don't know why this is me. Feeling
Mm,
helpless about it, which was
mm-hmm.
kind of resonating with the food, what you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then wanting to become a speech therapist, the person who helped me the most, because she was actually also a reading specialist as well, which I didn't understand at the moment. I thought every speech therapist was a reading specialist, but I
It's
learned that
another
later.
specialty.
It is another path to go down. So I think having that, what was a big chip on my shoulder and still is, really is a big chip on my shoulder. I think when you have, you know, maybe a disability or something,
Mm-hmm.
you often feel quite helpless. Like, this is something that's uncurable. This is something I can't help. But being able to, you know, make decisions for myself, and take power back. One way I did that was, I think, becoming a speech therapist, to kind of learn about it as much as possible, and then also to serve the population. I mean, to me, if I was able to help kids like me, that would make kind of having dyslexia or, you know, a speech impediment when I was young all kind of make sense or worth it in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that's a little bit of my why, which is not something I've always been like happy to share or comfortable with sharing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy where I'm at the point where I can share that, and
Mm-hmm.
happy to share that. So I think that's my why. I went off topic.
Kidding me? This is such a huge part of your journey. And
Yeah.
I feel like in the moment, especially, our younger self, I love that, the practice where you pretend like you're looking at your younger self, like what's something that you would tell your younger self now that you're an adult. I don't want to put that pressure on you to ask that right now, but like just in
Yeah.
general, for us to do that, it really shifts your perspective because everything that you have gone through your younger years is why you are the person that you are today and why you have that resilience, why you have that perseverance. So it's like, I feel like at some point in our life, we play this victim, like, why me? Why is this happening to me? But if we can switch our mindset from there's this book that I read called The Mastery of Self, and he has this exercise where you shift your mindset from the parasite. The parasite leeches and it you see yourself as a victim and you turn your mind into the ally. Because I experienced this, I was able to X, Y, and Z. So if you don't mind me asking, with all those difficulties and challenges that you faced growing up, what do you feel like you learned out of that journey?
I think more than anything, I learned that when negative things happen to us, it's not always detrimental to us.
Right.
So if a negative thing happens to me in the moment, I'm thinking this is something net bad, something that's not going to help me at all. But actually, the things that have been negative and that have happened to me and that I've been able to overcome have actually been a net positive for me in the grand scheme of things. You turn in, this is cliche, but your weaknesses into strengths. That to me is kind of like the silver lining. If you're able to take something, you know, that is hard, something that you're not good at,
Mm-hmm.
something that you feel that you just can't do, and you're able to overcome that thing, I think that makes it so important for, development of character, becoming who you are as a person,
Mhm.
inspiring others and relating to others. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it that you can see when you've gone through it. While you're
Mhm.
going through this very dark, scary tunnel, you don't know what is going on or what the light is or where the light is at the end of the tunnel.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
looking back on it, there's really so many things. I wouldn't change anything about myself. I can say that today, could not say that
Mhm.
years ago. So that's
Ah,
something that I've learned.
so beautiful. And I feel like for us to really understand our struggles, we have to we have to be intentional with reflecting on it. And
Mhm.
I feel like it's so hard in this day and age to have the mental space to sit down with your thoughts, with the difficult emotions, see where they're stemming from. What is your body? What is your mind telling you? What are you learning throughout this process? And I often find that people who are stressed all the time, they're doing things that, they're not passionate about. They're just stuck in this fight or flight mode, and they're not approaching life problems from a place of compassion for themselves, with an open heart, with love, because they're in this fight or flight mode. So I find it very important that anytime that we are going through a struggle or a difficult time, it's okay to create boundaries for yourself, be with yourself, reflect on those emotions, whether you journal it or you just think about it, go for a walk and think about it, or even just cry. Like, I think a lot of people are so afraid of letting that emotion out, but I often find that once I just cry, sometimes I don't even know why I'm crying. When I cry, I take a breath and then I see like, okay, I'm okay. And then that's what helps me get stronger. But if I don't let those emotions out and I just have them keep piling up, that's when I'm like more irritable. I'm like, why am I doing this? What's the point? And I start to get into this negative cycle. So I think also remembering that life moves in these cycles of low points, making
Mhm.
sure that you sit there in that low point and experience it. Don't try to run
Yes.
away from it, and then that helps you get into that high point, and then you can understand and realize why, what was the purpose? What did I learn from it? What lesson can I take away from this? And then you move forward and then just go with the cycles of life.
And like even in those low points, kind of thinking to yourself, I am human, this
Mhm.
everyone goes through this. There are pros that are going to come out of it in the future. Having that and knowing that is something that helps because like you said, we all go through those low points and
Mhm.
just realizing that we are human and that we're all going to keep going through those low points. It's not the low point that's the problem. The low point will always be there.
Mhm.
It's only a problem if we aren't able to pull ourselves out of it. And sometimes it takes a village as well. Is
Oh,
something
for
that I'm
sure.
thinking when you were talking is I was very fortunate to have a very supportive family and
Mhm.
people around me.
Mhm.
And I think being that support to others is also something that's really uplifting to ourselves.
And amen. Absolutely. And I mean, that's how we connect the most. Like, we think that we connect. Yes, we connect during the good times, but
Yes,
there's nothing that connects humans as much as struggle does. Like, when you open yourself up and you say, hey, I'm struggling with this, and having people there to support you and get you out of that, like, that's everything. Thank you for sharing your story and your journey. Didn't know that. And it's a big reason for why you are where you are today and why you're going down the path that you are. And I'm
yeah.
sure your younger self, if he knew, would be so proud. He's like, I'm gonna do this. That's right.
Yeah, I think so too, so thank you. I
Mhm.
think not often enough I reflect on my younger self, and I'm gonna start trying to make that a bit of a routine now,
Yeah.
because I think it's super helpful, so thank you.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
so Argie, next is our rapid fire segment. I'm gonna give you 5 to 10 seconds to respond to these questions. Do the best you can. The first one is, what's one thing every SLP should stop worrying about?
Okay. This one is tough, but what comes to the top of my mind is stop worrying like you have to, feeling that you have to do everything 100% all the time, giving yourself 100% all the time. Just like we talked about, things are going to go in cycles. You're going to give yourself when you can, but make sure to take time to retaliate and give yourself grace during those times that you have to reserve your energy.
Sure, yeah, knowing yourself, sure.
Mhm.
Favorite part of your day?
Hands down, my mornings. I like to wake up early, around 6 a.m., go outside, write in my journal. My morning sets the rest of the day, so I like slow mornings.
Yeah, me too. I relate to you on that. I love my mornings. Very
Mhm.
routine-based mornings, and I just love taking time in the morning.
Yes.
I agree. What is a, go-to self-care ritual that you have right now?
When I think of go-to self-ritual, I think like get my nails done, go to a facial. But for me lately, it's been blocking time out of my calendar for days to just be with myself or do things that I really want to do. And in order to do this self-care thing, I'm also practicing saying no. Because if I don't, then my calendar gets filled up with events that other people want to do, and then I don't have enough time for myself. And because I'm so busy all the time, if I don't have time to myself, then it makes it very hard to sustain the work that I need to do throughout the week. So blocking out time for myself in my calendar.
Most surprising thing about being your own boss?
Acknowledging that I am a business owner. It took me a long time to say, like, yeah, I have a business, I have a private practice, because in the beginning I didn't have many clients. So I think that was the most surprising part. It's like when people would ask me what I do for work, I just felt so awkward saying, like, I have a private practice. So I think that was the most surprising thing for me. Now it's been like 5 years and I can confidently say, like, I am a business owner, I have my private practice.
Absolutely. Um, alright, one clinical topic you wish people talked about more?
The stage of food neophobia in a child's feeding development. This is extremely important. This is usually when we start to see severe picky eating, and it depends on the child's temperament and, their history with feeding. But I think clinicians need to understand more about food neophobia and also educate parents on it.
Yeah, and then when you are educating, if we can dive into this 1 second.
Yeah.
When you are educating parents on food phobia,
Yep.
what are you able to tell them that they're able to kind of relate and then put into practice? 'Cause I know it can be really tough for parents to
Absolutely.
comprehend and
So
put into practice.
the way I explain food neophobia is that it's a protective mechanism that at this stage of development, which starts around 18 months to 2 years, and it peaks between 2 to 6 years, children have developed the ability to categorize foods that are safe to them and foods that are unknown and unsafe. And so they'll categorize foods based on the sensory characteristics of what they look like. So as we're reaching into this stage, it's not that they're being defiant or they're trying to give you a hard time. They literally do not feel safe to put this in their mouth. They don't know if it's going to cause them harm. And so we have to help them through exposure in order to build familiarity around these foods. And I kind of like to see it as people. When you first meet a person, you're going to be cautious around that person. But the more that you meet them, you get to know them, you develop a relationship with them, you start to trust them. And the same thing is going to happen with food. Children need to develop a relationship and a connection with food in order for them to eat it. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Um, what is a phrase you live by?
Find joy in the journey. And I have it right up there. You probably can't see it. Find joy in the journey.
There it
We
is.
will always have an end goal. Like, I want to get this done. And so often we're like, I'm not going to be happy until I have this. But if you don't learn to be happy with your life and your circumstances right now, it's very unlikely that you're going to be happy once you achieve your goal. Because after you achieve your goal, it's very natural human tendency to be like, okay, what's next? So finding joy in the journey.
Just wanna talk like, linger on that just for a
Mm-hmm.
little bit because I think it's easy for me to say that, but it's hard for me to put that into practice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think sometimes put it into practice might look like me looking back on my younger self, which is
Mm-hmm.
something that we talked about. That might be put it into practice. I'm finding joy in the journey that way. But what are some ways, or a way that you kind of put that into practice, finding joy in the
Absolutely.
journey?
A big influence that helped me with this, there's a book. I read a lot of books. It's called The Power of Now. Have you heard of it?
No, but I'm writing it down.
Okay. That was written by a German philosopher named Eckhart Tolle. And he talks about how all we have is this present moment. And if you cannot be present, you're either in the past or you're in the future. So by learning to be fully aware of the senses that you around you now, your heart beating, the sounds in your environment, paying attention to it, whatever it is that you're doing, whether that's talking to a person, whether you're looking at a tree, learning to be present, you start to feel these sensations in your body and you start to experience this sense of gratitude of the just aliveness in your body. Like, I think we take for granted what is like keeping us alive, what is keeping me breathing right now, and just having that gratitude for life. And then I guess overall it's just being grateful for everything that you do have, because again, it's human tendency for us, especially the ego. It's really the ego that wants more, 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 where it's just never happy. So learning to be happy with what you have, writing in your journal, what's one good thing that happened today? What am I grateful for? Just writing, 2, 3 things and kind of perseverating on those things, reminding yourself about all the good that you have in your life.
Even having a journal is a great place to start with that. Awesome. What's one thing that you learned the hard way?
Can I be honest? Everything. Everything I learned the hard way because I'm a stubborn person. And in that regard, I've been told that I'm very impulsive. And so that's why for some things I've had to learn the hard way. But I find that impulsiveness, is that a word? That impulsiveness in me to be kind of a gift. Impulsivity, thank you. To be sometimes a gift, sometimes a curse, but I see it more as a gift, because when there's something that I see that I like, I just gravitate to it, and I'm following my intuition in that sense. So everything I learned the hard way. And
Everything.
whatever I learn, it's my lesson to learn at the end of the day. So there's, the silver lining, and it's a blessing in disguise.
Absolutely. Something you're excited to learn next, maybe the hard way.
Oh, maybe the hard way. Truthfully, as we had talked earlier, we're both going to be getting married in the near future, right? I'm getting married in October. And after marriage, I'm 33 years old. After marriage, I would love to have kids. So in this next chapter of my life, I feel like just learning to be a wife, a mother, and balancing motherhood and being a wife and owning a business. I think that's going to be my next learning lesson, which only life can teach me with time. This is not something I can really read in a book, but I'm looking forward to it.
Beautiful. Actually, our last guest, so for our first episode, was with Gabriella. She is a business owner, a wife, and a mother, a new mother. So maybe I'll have to connect you guys.
Oh, please do. She is doing it. I'm so inspired by mothers, truthfully. It's one thing to, like, it still blows my mind sometimes because I coach parents on how to support their child's feeding, and I feel like there's such a huge part that's missing because I haven't experienced what it's like to be a mother yet. So I look forward to that next chapter. I feel like I'll be able to connect with parents at a whole other level going through it myself.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Amazing. Any final thoughts on any SLPs that might be out there that are looking to explore a non-traditional path?
Trust your intuition, follow your gut, and literally take it one day at a time. And remember that the only way that you are going to find out what's meant for you is if you take action. So you might see that you do something and you're not really for it. And that's okay. No time was wasted because you wouldn't have learned that lesson if you didn't do it. And as you're going down this path and you put yourself out there, opportunities will come to you because you are attracting those opportunities. So remember, fear is a liar. That is another one of my favorite sayings. It's human tendency for us to think about worst case scenario, but take the time to reflect on what is my fear? Why do I have that fear? What is it stemming from? And then let it go and just move forward and believe in yourself.
So where can listeners follow you or follow your work or connect with you?
Yes, so they can follow me on Instagram at Kids Feeding Wellness. I do have Facebook, but I'm not too active on that. I don't have a TikTok, and I don't plan to have a TikTok. And they can always email me. My email is hello@kidsfeedingwellness.com. So I guess Instagram or my email.
Argie, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey from feeding treatment to tech innovations and everything in between. Your story is a powerful reminder that success doesn't have to look traditional to be meaningful. I'm so grateful that you joined me today, and you really did inspire me to stay true to myself. So I really appreciate it. I think other people will appreciate it. Thank you so much.
James, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I really cannot see where this goes. What you and Mackenzie are doing is truly beautiful. So thank you for having me be part of it.
Thank you so much.